Gualitanali, Juan Miawe. In the spirit of Rupert and Jeanette Costco's founding relationship to our campus, we would like to respectfully acknowledge and recognize our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, fire, water, and air. The Kauai, Tongva, Luiseño, and Serrano peoples and all their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, this meeting place is home to many indigenous peoples from all over the world, and we extend this to acknowledge the multiple fraught histories of this land. We also acknowledge the ancient relations of friendship, kinship, and alliance between various local Native communities and visitors to this region. And we continue to work creatively towards enacting a practice and policies that register these histories and strengthen these layers of knowledge and ways of being. Tlatsokamatli, Achama, thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and follow after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Along the Chaparral is the result of a partnership between UC Riverside, the Riverside Temecula and Beaumont Unified School District, and Sherman Indian High School. Since 2018, the project has involved hundreds of K-12 students, teachers, university faculty, and graduate students in learning about and honoring the legacy of those interred in the Riverside National Cemetery. The Along the Chaparral team has accomplished this through published anthologies, a GPS mobile app, public events, and more. Today's performances continue that work virtually and necessarily via video, reflecting both the challenges of online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic over the last year, as students and teachers alike have had to adapt to remote forms of education and training, as well as the challenges the pandemic has presented to the health and to the sense of community shared by the family members of those buried at Riverside National Cemetery, with whom we have gathered in person for this event in prior years. This video, then, offers a digital tribute allowing everyone to remain socially distant and safe while still honoring and paying respect to the veterans and their dependents interred at the RNC. Our performances today feature students from the Highland Academy Charter School in Beaumont, California, under the tutorship of teacher and project fellow Jasmine Smith, Martin Luther King Jr. High School in Riverside, California, under the tutorship of teacher Jalen Barnard, and graduate fellows from the University of California, Riverside.
Hi, I'm Ani Pajarito, and today I will be presenting my written poem dedicated towards John Raymond Assen. It is titled the inevitable of a rotten fruit. The prime state where fruit appear, so lovely yet we never fear. That short span of life it always has, once punctured with wounds, can turn events into a spaz. So likely this rotten fruit has in common with a young Ohio boy by the name of John Raymond Asson. And although my life has just begun, little did I know nothing can be undone. The relocation of my home, where many seem to roam, an infamous word said upon the hill, the Hollywood sign that is, it all seems surreal. Glendale High School is where I go. The year is 1964, where popularity is like an overflow. A guy who seems to be an all-around student, becoming a track star along with Boys League is far from imprudent. Now entering a time of strife and calamity, the Vietnam War that is, where most seem to lose their sanity. Being ranked as airman first class, the willingness to comply almost seemed difficult to surpass. With the reminiscent of smoke and bombs left behind, I've become eternally grateful with my eyes not going blind. To the oh-so-ravishing woman in front of me, she marks my wonderful wife, better yet known as my one and only. Time seems to fly right by, where I find myself saying goodbye to not only the homes that caught my eye, but to the once light-hearted and genuine guy. As I take over my parents' appliance repair business, is where I start to lose my whole consciousness. For all I crave is coins and cash. That's when I think of the idea to steal and dash. My mind is at an all-time high, where what feels like my nature is to lie. To the many Montrose residents who fell under false impression, it was you and not me for my crazy obsession. It's the year 2002, where the question for the suspect is always who. However, my act soon goes awry, as detectives Bob Zahn and Pat Murphy become suspicious of my lie. I'm suddenly faced with petty charges and grand theft, not realizing the long-term effect. My character is starting to feel like it's diminished, just as a slice of fruit left out to be finished. Where once I was a pure and altruistic soul, just like fresh fruit laying restlessly in a bowl, has now become the individual everyone now despises, with the rotten layer that covers it whole, the once lovely fruit thereby disguises. Mr. Asson had shown great enlightenment and acts of valor, even during troubling times where it all mattered. However, with a turn of events, nothing could prepare for these certain intents. Just as physical damage that causes a fruit to rot, so did the actions of Mr. Asson when living up to his plot. And although troubling times ultimately killed a once lively being, may he rest in peace, John Raymond Asson, of December 8, 2013.
This is in honor of Donald S. Otten. I am Andres Preciado from Highland Academy Charter School. Imagine being in the war, with gunshots, explosions, and bombs everywhere. Well, for Donald, it wasn't an imagination. Donald S. Otten served in the military as a captain for World War II. Donald was born on March 28, 1920 in Oak Park, Illinois. You may not know much about him, but he should always be remembered, no matter what. Otten was in the Army for 39 years. After he left the Army, he continued to university to study his passion, being a doctor and surgeon. Outside of the Army, Donald was a great doctor. I could see his smile as he saves families and brings them together. I can see Donald smile as he walks to church with his family. Donald was loving, respectful, and a hero. You may describe him as a lifesaver or even a legend. Many heroes today are known as Batman, Superman, or maybe even the Flash. But for me, a hero is someone who risks their life for a person, country, or state. For instance, Donald saved multiple people and had to witness multiple deaths. There was no limit with him. He always did what he loved. It was his passion. Although people might see Donald as only a veteran or a doctor, he was much more. He was a loving father and a loving husband. He was married to Juanita J. Otten, who was his soulmate. He had loving children, some of which are Robert Otten and Carol Otten Sandage. He was a fantastic father. He always cared for his children, even while in the Army. He was married to his wife for over 60 years. Some words I would use to describe Otten are inspirational, brave, loving, kind, and a hero. Donald was an amazing military member, but he was also a father. Not only did he go through the struggles of being in the war, but he paid bills, spent time with his family, and even worked. Now, I'm no father myself, but I can imagine how it must be difficult to keep up with such tasks. Donald is a hardworking man, to say the least. You may now be thinking, what was this for? Or, this was useless. But in reality, we should honor our veterans. They fought for our country and freedom. I hope to see more people acknowledging our veterans. If you see a military member, remember to always say, thank you for your service.
Hi, my name is Emily Hutton and I am a junior at Martin Luther King High School. Today I'll be presenting my piece for Along the Chaparral. My poem today is in honor of the U.S. Army veteran Thomas Abel and is titled A Name to Remember. A name to remember. A war veteran. A man of bravery is to be remembered. From a boy being born as a resident of Wild Rose, Iowa. From the Vietnam War, where his known wild rose changed to a lotus. An SP4 of the U.S. Army, fighting simply one day, be remembered. Remembered as a person of strength, bravery, and courage. Remembered as a man who fought for our freedom. Your freedom. It takes a lot out of a person to risk their life for the goodwill of others. Going into war, fighting for the country they call their home. Thomas Abel is the name that should be remembered. For he has helped the people in a tremendous way. A man of Wild Rose, Iowa, then a man of Lotus Flower, Vietnam, lastly, a man of Golden Poppy, California, fought so he could be remembered. And as people he fought for, we need to remember not just him, but everyone that has fought for the freedom we take advantage of. The freedom we need to realize we have way more of than others. The freedom that we need to look at and see how we gained it, for it was gained because of lives risked, wounded, scarred, and lost. The freedom people leave their loved ones for, so you can stay home surrounded by yours. Thomas Abel risked his life for people he doesn't even know. He risked his life for you, me, and the future. The future that maintains the freedom he worked to gain. Remember to cherish the freedom you have. Remember to look deeper into the story of why and how you have your freedom. Remember to honor and to be thankful. Simply remember where your freedom comes from. And remember, one of the men that fought for you, Thomas Abel, a young man who fought for us, should be remembered. Remembered in the way all heroes want to be remembered, as strong and brave.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn Connor. I'm a 6th grader at Highland Academy Charter School, and this piece is in honor of all veterans.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Park, and my piece is written in honor of Frank Augustine Abishurly. Frank Augustine Abishurly was born on May 12, 1934, in the warmth of a sunny town known as Imperial County in California. He grew up in his childhood home, buzzing with conversations between his parents and his older brother, Ben Abishurly. Their home was located on Pine Streets in San Bernardino, California, where Frank resided for the majority of his life. It is unclear at what age he joined the Army. However, Abishurly enlisted in the U.S. Army as a private, partaking in a role to serve his country. As a private, it is to be believed that he received basic training as a soldier and learned the traditions and core values a soldier held as part of the U.S. Army. This training included rigorous activities that were instilled for soldiers to develop survival skills and to better themselves as a soldier. During the course of Abba Shirley's training, it is assumed that he went through the hot, humid days of land navigation courses, obstacle courses involving 50-foot structures to climb, and the dark, chilly nights of training to be prepared to serve his country. His dedication and courage towards his decision to serve his country should be admired and remembered. Like all who decided to dedicate their lives to the Army, Frank Abba Shirley is imagined to be brave and courageous during his lifetime. Along with this, he could also be seen as caring, being surrounded by a full family with his parents and an older brother to look up to, as well as a wife and 4 children later on in his life. Abba Shirley resided in California for the majority of his life as a local resident, feeling the sun shining on his face and the breeze pass by as he spent his days with his family. Though Frank Augustine Abba Shirley was a local individual in California, his devotion and loyalty towards his country and these attributes that characterize him clearly display the need for respect and remembrance of his life.
Hi, I'm Autumn Mock. I am a 7th grader for Highland Academy Middle School, and I have written a poem in honor of my great-grandfather, Donald Bruce Otis. Donald Bruce Otis, what a small little name, tiny but mighty, some people say. Did you know he fought for our freedom, flying planes in the sky, risking his life every breath he took, leaving his family and all the tenderness back home? Do you still think it's a small little name? On February 29, 1924, a hero was born in a small little town in Minnesota. A little boy grew up. He played the same games and he went to the same schools. He was just a boy named Donald Bruce Otis. When there was commotion about the war, he went and signed up to be in the sky. Flying as a pilot seemed easier than crawling through mud. As scary as it was with all the stories of crashes, he made it to training with his friends by his side. The young man, sturdy and bright, was ready to prove his name that very same night. The camps weren't that easy, most people died. The food tasted like dirt, but Donald didn't mind. Waiting for World War II and missing his family, he reminded himself, never give in. A plane wrinkled into smoke and Donald cried out. Swerving around it, he almost fell out. Before he knew it, a gun had shot right at his leg, but missed by an inch. Donald was lucky, that was for sure. At the end of the war, he helped bring the displaced families back home. Although his hands were blistered and frail, he made sure every family was finally safe. He wished he had his own family, but he stayed and helped as a hero would. He felt the soft sun as he got out of the cab. His mama was waiting to see him at last. When she saw his smoke-smelled clothes and when she saw his eyes deep with shadows, she could not wait to bring him home. Quicker than quick, his mama matched him up with a pretty young woman named Mabel Phillips. He adored her loving nature and married her soon after. With a white Shirley's dress and passion in their hearts, they never looked back. Soon after, they had a little boy, and another one 2 years later. 6 years later, they had a girl. They had 3 kids and were as happy as could be. The years went on, the kids got married, they ended up with 11 grandchildren. Donald passed on his stories generation to generation. He was a hero who had saved us all. Tiny but mighty, some people say, risking his life every breath he took. Do you still think it's a small little name?
Hi, my name is Leah Bishop. This is in honor of my great-grandpa, Francis Moses Haddon. Learning about our past helps us know more about who we are. My great-grandpa on my mom's side was born on September 4th, 1930 in Idaho. When he was born, there was no doctor around. When his mom started going into labor, his 12-year-old uncle had to drive 24 miles to the nearest town. When he got there, the doctor was not home, so his uncle grabbed the nearest midwife and rushed back to the house. Francis Moses Haddon was born in a cabin built by his father. Francis Moses Haddon served in the Air Force. His rank was Airman Second Class. He served in the Korean War, which lasted 3 years. He never got any awards, but nevertheless, he loved his country. After the war, he moved to California. There is where he met his wife, Rosemary Joan Harding. They got married, and the rest was history. Rosemary and Francis had 4 children, Cliff, Cynthia, Craig, and Clark. He had a lovely family. After the war, he was a mailman for over 20 years. Over the years, his family has grown a lot. He now has 4 children, 17 grandchildren, and 21 great-grandchildren. He has a beautiful family. He passed away on September 22nd, 2001. When he passed away, he was 71 years old. He lived a great life. Francis Moses Haddon was a great man. In 71 years, his legacy included serving in the Korean War, raising his children, being a loving and devoted grandfather. Although he has not met all of his great-grandchildren on earth, I'm sure he would have loved them just as much. Francis Moses Haddon served and loved his country and even more his family.
I wanna leave my footprints on the sand of time. Oh, there was something that I left behind. When I leave this world, I leave no regrets. Leave something to remember, so they won't forget I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted. It was more than I thought it would be. I will remember, so everyone will know I was here. I wanna say I live each day until I die, and know that I've been something new, somebody's life. The hearts I have touched will be the proof that I leave, that I made a difference, and this world will see I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will remember, so everyone will know I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will remember, so everyone will know I was here. I just want them to know that I gave my all, did my best, brought someone some happiness. That this world's a little better just because I was here. I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I done